So hello you wonderful citizen of the internet, and welcome to a video about thoughts of unaliving and how to try and dodge them, how to try and stay on the planet basically when you are in a really rubbish place. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm really sorry that you're going through this if you are, and I hope it does get better. For me, the last 4 years had been pretty much one long not wanting to be here, really, and I haven't really felt that way the last few minutes. No, the last couple of weeks or something, I haven't felt that way, and you never know if it's a blip and a ridey uppy downy thing. But I would like to think maybe things are actually getting better. So maybe things do actually get better sometimes. I think if you stick around long enough, it's probably an inevitability that things will get better to some degree or another. A lot of the things that have helped me are a bit weird, and I will say with some of them, like, if you think this is going to be potentially a bit dangerous for you, like, just don't do this, because for me, honestly, the thing that mostly helped me was essentially playing chicken with my own suicidal thoughts. If I gave myself the space to openly explore, like, okay, so what would I say if I was going to say goodbye? If I pretend this is my last week, what am I going to get up to? Things like that I actually found very helpful. And I just wanted to jump in here to explain the method behind my madness a little bit, because I think the reason this works so well for me is that it's essentially reverse psychology. And being an autistic with quite a big leaning towards pathological demand avoidance, I will always push against whatever boundary is set for me, even if I'm the one setting that boundary. So essentially removing all the safety nets, removing all the boundaries, and just being like, look, there's the cliff. If you want to go over it, fucking go over it, fall into the abyss for all I care. At that point, there's no boundaries for me to force against, and I'm going to have to go peer over the cliff edge and stare into the abyss, essentially. Because I think when you've got all these boundaries in place and it's like, no, you must not unalive, no, you're seeing unaliving in a very life-centric way, in that you're thinking about the things you can't deal with. You're thinking about, I can't stand my life, I don't know what to do, and you see unaliving in a very vague sense, and it just seems like escape to you. If you really allow yourself to peer into the abyss, and you do have to really think, okay, death is really real. What is it going to be like for me by tomorrow when I'm really dead? What is that going to be like for me? What is that going to be like for my family? The very, very, very real implications of saying goodbye to everything you know on Earth forever. When you make it so real to you like that, I think it packs quite a big wallop, psychologically speaking, and it just makes you rethink things, I think, or it does for me anyway. And with that burble explained, I will return you to the video to explain my weird methodologies a little bit better. The first thing I want to say, though, I will link this video below, but seriously, whether you watch it now, whether you pause this and watch that now, or whether you watch it at the end, watch this video. I think it's called something like The Day After I Killed Myself or something. It's so thought-provoking. It's basically like, someone is still kind of on Earth after they've killed themselves, and they're watching the after. Oh, it's making me upset just thinking about it, but it's really a really, really sad video, and really does make you think, like, there is still going to be a morning after whatever your beliefs are, and whatever you think will happen to you, there is still going to be a morning after you for all the people around you. That morning is going to happen, and some of it is quite upsetting, but I do think it's so thought-provoking. Like, seriously, go watch that. But yeah, things that helped me. I did a lot of writing. So one of the things I've written, like I've written a million goodbye notes, essentially, and I do think if you're someone who expresses themselves well through writing, or you just find it cathartic to write, try writing your goodbye note, because it can give you a lot of self-awareness about, like, why you're really doing it. Because I mean, what you tend to put that in there, don't you? Really, when you're trying to explain to your mom or your housemates or whoever why you're gone, you're trying to tell them why you're gone, so that oftentimes you realize, okay, this is what I want to change. Because, you know, the classic thing about most people who are trying to take themselves off the planet, they don't really want to be dead. They just don't see any other option because they can't stand what they're going through. So if you can write this note and you can work out, okay, this is what is pushing me to this, it kind of gives you some self-awareness of like, okay, but is there anything else I could do about this thing? The other thing with having written it all down is that you now have something physical that you can actually give to someone. Like if there's someone in your life who you trust enough or who you think can help you with these things that are driving you to this, show it to them. You know, if you don't want to be around when they open it, if it's too for you, you know, by all means just give it to them in an envelope and say, look, maybe explain what it is that, you know, you're not actually going to go and do anything right now, but this is, you just need their help basically, and this is how you're feeling, and give it to them in an envelope and say, I'm going to leave the room, please don't open it until I'm gone. If you have to do that, do that. But I found that quite helpful. For me, it was less about that though, because I am one of these overthinkers who is generally quite self-aware, and I felt over the 4 years, you know, I had tried a great many things, spent a great amount of money, tried this, that and the other, and so for me, it was mostly just a case of the catharsis of writing it down in the moment of feeling really, really awful, and editing it up and trying to get it perfect. And by the time my perfectionism had edited that note to my own satisfaction, the feeling would have passed, and it would just be like, okay, well, I guess I'm never going to use that note. So this is why I've got, you know, hundreds of the things. So the next point, the next point on my list, get angry, is my next point. Because generally speaking, if you're feeling this way, someone somewhere has dropped the ball, I feel like. Like usually there is either a real life situation that is going on that has pushed you to this, that should not have pushed you to this, because someone has fucked up. Like, are you being bullied at work? Are you being bullied at school? Is it some real world thing where someone should be acting on your behalf to protect you, to change things for you? And if it's a mental illness thing whereby you've always had this but it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, the doctors are not listening, they are not changing your meds, or they've changed your meds to something awful, or you know what med you need to be on and they won't give you it, or whatever it is, someone, generally speaking, has dropped the ball when someone is in this state, I feel like. So work out who that person is, and please God, write to them. Write them an angry letter. Tell them, if it's safe to do so, tell them what they are driving you to, and how low your mood is, and all of this. Because I swear to God, writing angry letters has saved my life on numerous occasions when people have tried to force me off meds, when they've refused to give me the meds that I need to have. I've also written angry letters for friends before now when their doctors have been fucking up, and it has helped. So if you are able to write your own angry letter, great, do that. Otherwise, if you're just too low and too kind of apathetic and you just can't right now, do you have a friend or a family member who is a bit like me and is a bit gobby and easily fucked off, and will fight your corner for you, in which case please rope them in and get them to do it. You know, and I feel like it's likely that there is some level of mental illness component with this. You know, sure, for some people it is literally like your life has just fallen like dominoes and it's purely an exterior thing, but oftentimes there is some kind of medication that would maybe smooth things over a little bit for you and just make life a little bit easier until it rebuilds itself a bit. There's probably someone that you could write an angry letter to, I feel like, that might be able to improve your situation just enough to make it bearable. Okay, so the next point on my list is the one that may not be right for everyone, but this did really help me. I don't think I even did this as a tactic initially. I think it was an accidentally discovered tactic, because I had essentially set a date. I'd put a date in the calendar, like, you know, because I had things to sort out. I had things to sort out before I could go, as most people do. I feel like, particularly if you're a bit of a control freak and you want to say your piece and you want to try and lessen the effect on the people around you as much as possible, there is a certain amount of admin that needs doing before you remove yourself from the planet. So because of this, I'd set myself a date that I think was, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks or something in the future, and I'd really decide, right, that is D-Day, you know. And it's interesting how much your viewpoint changes. So I would say if you're going to do something like this, for God's sake, don't literally decide as I did, like, right, yeah, right, I'm going to set a calendar, and if I get there and it's not better, then I'm off. Please don't do that. But I think if you think your mentality can take this, I think just theoretically saying to yourself, okay, imagine I've only got a week left. Like, what do I want to do with this week that's left? Who do I want to see? Who do I want to be around? You know, are there any places I want to go for the last time? And it's quite morbid, you know. It's obviously quite morbid, all this stuff, but I think it can really show you the beauty in the world still. If you realise there are places that you'd like to go and see for a last time, and if you find doing that, then go there and remind yourself how beautiful it is. And you'll probably kind of get sad and probably think, I don't want this to be the last time I'm here. Or being around friends and thinking technically this would be the last time I'd ever see them, and you're not going to want that either. Like, basically, I find this exercise, it kind of shifts your thinking in much the same way as if you've ever done hallucinogens and you've seen the world shift completely. Like, it's awe-inspiring, and I feel you can kind of get almost the same effect by just confronting your own mortality and realizing all of these things that you take for granted, they're all on loan. Like, nothing belongs to you, not even your own body. It's all going to be taken from you one day, and if you're not careful with these thoughts, it could be taken away from you far sooner than you expect. And all the little things that you take for granted in your everyday life, when you start looking at them as if, like, I could be dead in a week, and all of these things, I'm never going to lay hands on them ever again, and everything becomes magical, from natural phenomena to tiny little sentimental things in your house, like, the shot glass you bought on vacation like 20 years ago, like your pets and how their fur feels and how their voices sound, your own mother's voice, like all of these things that are so special but that you take for granted completely. Obviously, if you are like me and you do believe in the afterlife, I like to think that the things that we have in our life now, one day we're going to look back at them kind of like when you come across a toy box of your old childhood stuff, and you look through it and you're like, oh my God, this was so special to me, and I remember when I got this, and I remember being so excited about this. I feel like we're going to look back as spirits, and we're going to see all the things in our lives today in exactly the same way. Like, oh my God, there's like that crazy pen with a dog on top of it that I used to write like in my journal with. Wow, that was my favorite flavor of lip balm when I was alive. I don't know, just find the magic in life, however weirdly you need to do it, is basically what I'm saying. This exercise actually can be a very good precursor to get angry, because this week that you're spending essentially thinking, okay, so just seeing my mum, that's the last time I'm going to see her. It's just been up my favourite bit of forest, that's the last time I'm going to see that. It's going to piss you off, because it pissed me off. Why should I have to never see these people in these places ever again just because XYZ is going on in my life, or because the doctors are being absolute fuckwads? Why should I be the one who loses the things that are the most precious to them in the world? Why? Like, life has been shitty enough. Why should I have to sacrifice the very last things I have left? Like, it's a very good precursor to getting angry and working out who you need to direct this anger at and who you need to write a furious letter to. The next little point on my list is a little point, and it's about small things, because I think the other thing that really saved me during this 4 years of awfulness has been small things. just small things that you're looking forward to. So whether it's like, you know, there's a new show come out on Netflix and you're loving it, if you can find something that literally it only comes out every week or something, so you have to think, well, you know, if I die now, I'm never going to find out what happens on blah blah blah, and that's going to suck. But for me, a little bit of shopping, a little bit of online shopping, particularly because one of the things I bought when things were really, really bad earlier this year, I bought this gadgety suitcase that I'm like so excited about, but I didn't realise it was a pre-order and it doesn't ship out till October. And I was like, I'd bought this thing and I was like, are you kidding? There's no way I'm still going to be here in October. That I can't do that, but I really want to see this suitcase. And now I'm like halfway there from when I bought it. I'm halfway to October now, so hopefully I'll still be around when my suitcase comes, and hopefully it won't be shit, because how disappointing would that be if you know, hung on for like a suitcase for like I don't know, 6 months or something, and then it's shit. But yeah, if it just, whatever small things, for starters, it's the small things to look forward to, but also the small things that you appreciate in your everyday life and that you would miss if you were dead. You know, for me, it's things like sort of rewatching crappy vampire shows over and over and over again. I would really miss a lot of that stuff if I was gone. You know, I mean, I do believe in an afterlife, but I don't know much about this afterlife that I believe in. I don't have very solid beliefs about the afterlife, and I'm like, well, can I still watch the Vampire Diaries in the afterlife? I don't know. You know, what about all my clothes that I like wearing? Like, can I take some sort of ectoplasmic form of them with me and still wear them in the afterlife? I don't know. I'm gonna miss them, you know. So yeah, and then obviously there's a lot of the obvious stuff that's you know, if you're really down to the wire and you're really in the moment and it's really like, you know, I can't stand being here for another second. Obviously the people who've got a few more grains of sense than me, when they're in that kind of place, they will phone an ambulance and have themselves hospitalized, whereas again, I don't know if this is just a typical ADHD thing or something, but I just don't really have a sense of danger and consequence in things. I really don't. If you can't, you know, no pun intended, if you can't commit to having yourself committed or whatever, just try and be around other people, and ideally get the fuck out of the house. So if you've got friends you can go be with, particularly if they're ones that you can actually be open with and you can actually say, yeah, I'm really struggling and I probably shouldn't be on my own right now, so, you know, can I crash here for the night or whatever. If you've got friends who you can be that open with and are good with that kind of stuff, then you are so blessed, and please go be with them. Otherwise, family members, like, even if you haven't always had a very open relationship with them and you haven't always been able to talk about these things very openly, I think, you know, if you've got siblings or something, the average person who's got even a grain of decency, if they know how much you're struggling, they will look after you to the best of their abilities. So do try and open up to people. Do try and seek help wherever you can. Obviously, if crisis lines is all you've got, try the crisis lines. I will say it varies. I have had some really good crisis line experiences, but I've also had a lot that were shit. If you can't be around people for right now, just try and get yourself out of the house where you can't do anything to yourself. So maybe you're just in the woods, just go for a walk in the woods for a while, bring some music with you, just have loud music in your headphones so you can't really think about anything, or listen to a walking meditation. Or if you can get like out and about and around other people, you know, go to a coffee shop or something and just surf the internet there for a while. Just anything that gets you away from being on your own, and being, you know, unsafe is a good thing to do. Similarly, again, if you're kind of on your own, or it's like the middle of the night and you don't want to disturb anyone and you're just kind of going out of your head, journal or vent, I think is a good thing. You know, whether you want to vent out loud, whether you want to, and I think if you're going to kind of vent out loud, having kind of a focus, or like another person on the other end of the conversation, even if it's just you in your room having a conversation, you know, if there's any higher power you believe in that you can light a candle and you can talk to them. You know, I'm not much of a deity type person. I don't buy into deities particularly, because I just find this world is fucking rotten, And I find it hard to think I want to have anything to do with anything that would create a world as rotten as this one, is my thinking on deities. But you know, if you've got like a dead friend, a dead relative, that you can kind of think, oh, you know, if I was talking to you, what would I say to you? God, why is that so upsetting? Ugh, that's quite upsetting. But I think probably because that's what I will sometimes do, is that I will sometimes just kind of just have a ramble at one of them. And yeah, it helps you get some thoughts and all of that stuff out. Otherwise, just journal. Just journal. Just whether you're ranting, whether you're being miserable, whether you're pleading to a God you don't even believe in. You know, just journal, vent, get it out. Although I will say, whether journaling helps or does the opposite, because it can do the opposite. And I find for me, journaling is often not that helpful, because I will start semi-negative and I will just get more and more and more and more and more negative. Like, if there's no one to interrupt me and no one to feed in any positivity, it just gets more and more and more and more and more negative. So if you find it's going that way, I would say give up on that exercise and do something else. If you do anything, you know, if you've got a fidget spinner, if you've got a Rubik's Cube, if you knit, if you crochet, Nalabind, anything like that you can do, so you've got something to fiddle with your hands and something to watch, just to try and just put your brain on timeout until the sun comes up and there's someone to talk to, or until such time as your friends got off work, something to wait out those horrible moments. And yes, finding hobbies that bring you joy, again on kind of the small joys thing. I think learning new skills can be really enjoyable, because it sort of ticks that productivity box. Like, I do have this feeling like humans need to feel productive in order to feel happy. I've always kind of felt this, that whenever I don't feel like I'm being productive, I feel so shit. And obviously, like, learning something, whether you're learning computer coding, whether you're learning a different language, whether you're learning to play an instrument, it keeps your brain very occupied. I mean, in the morning when you wake up, you don't have that ocean of blah feeling, you know what I mean? When you wake up and you're like, oh God, I'm still alive. Like, what is this even for? Another day, just like all the other days. Keep going back to sleep for like 5 hours because you just don't see the point in getting up. If you're learning something that you're really enjoying, you know, you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, there was that little program that I wrote yesterday, let's see if it actually works still, and let's add on to it and do this, that and the other. Or, oh, there's that scene I wrote yesterday, I want to read that through and then I can move on to the next scene, and all of this. You know, if you're feeling like you're in the flow of something productive or something creative, it's quite a good distraction. I think if you've got even one thing left kind of on your like little checklist of things to stay alive for, whether that's like a literal list as it was for me, or whether that's just like, oh, there's still like something that I'm kind of holding on for, I think that's another thing really, is trying to keep that checklist a little bit full. If you can place things artificially in your future that are good, you know, whether that's buying tickets to see a band you really like, if you can kind of fill so that there's at least one thing every fortnight you're looking forward to in some kind of way, you know, and know that those things won't always work out. You know, if you are feeling this way, there will be things that you go to and you think you're going to have a really great time, and you just get there and the vibes just aren't touching you, and you're just in your own miserable little hole, and you kind of come out of it thinking, what was the point of that? Like, what was the point? You know, I thought this would be like a break from my head shit, and instead my head shit came with me, and now, you know, if I can't even be happy in the middle of a blah blah concert, then, you know, where am I ever going to be happy, you know? And I would say if you have any of those nights that are particularly dramatic, I would ask, was alcohol any part of it? Because I would say if you're feeling this kind of way, you might want to avoid alcohol. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say like avoid every mood altering substance, but I do think alcohol specifically is dangerous. Like, it's a very strange drug, alcohol. You know, it kind of lifts you up briefly, but then it really brings you down. And I do find that, you know, the things people say about psychedelics with set and setting are so vital to alcohol as well. That, you know, the mindset you're going into it with and the setting you're in, are vital to alcohol and to having a good time. And you know, if you're someone who feels alcohol kind of numbs everything you're going through, or you try and escape from it through alcohol, you know, before you drink, just write down how you're feeling, just briefly how you're feeling. After a few drinks, write down how you're feeling. The morning after, write down how you're feeling, and just see if there's a pattern of alcohol making things worse. Because I know for some people it doesn't seem to, but for a lot of people it really does. If that's the case, and you feel like I couldn't cope without something that is mood altering, obviously there's the Cali sober route, or you know, microdosing might be something to look into. Might find that lifts your mood and gives you a little bit of that slight escapism. But I do think alcohol is fucking dangerous if your mood is already this low. And with all of that said, I do think it's worth mentioning. I mean, it's a cheesy quote, and I think everyone's heard it by now. But that quote about, you know, all the worst things that have happened to you in your life so far, all the most fucking awful, horrendous things that have happened to you in your life, you have survived 100% of them, and that probably means you can survive this too, even if it doesn't feel like it. So I think that little quote is worth mentioning. I'm going to say, go and watch that video. If you haven't already, go and watch that video about the day after I killed myself, because it is really, really thought-provoking. It does stick with you. And I think the final thing to say does regard your beliefs, and does regard what you think is going to happen when you die. Because for me, I think this is something that has kind of kept me on the planet a little bit, is the uncertainty. Because as I say, I do believe in an afterlife, but I don't really know what sort of afterlife I believe in. And this being so, I don't know whether there's some kind of consequence if I kill myself. This has been something that kept me alive for a long time, was having this terror of some sort of awful, like, suicide consequence. If you are thinking seriously about ending your life, you do have to genuinely think about, okay, but what about after I do this? Because there is an after. You know, whether you believe in an afterlife or not, there is going to be some kind of after. Even if that after to you is like, okay, so my cells just degrade and I'm in the ground and I'm gone and I do not exist. In that case, the after you need to think about really is the after for everyone you know, because they're the ones who exist in the afterlife to you, really. In that case, if you don't exist in the afterlife, well, they still do. So it's them you've got to think about. But if you believe in any kind of afterlife for you do need to think about, okay, so do I want that tomorrow? Do I want to be in that world tomorrow? Is it better than this world? The fact I can never come back to this life, you know, even if you believe in reincarnation and all of that, I don't think many people believe that you can come back to the specific life you're in now. So this life, this body, this friendship group, this era you're in now, you're never going to get another shot at it again. So if there's anything you like about this era, this body, this family you're in, this whatever, is that worth sticking around for? You know, would you be okay with, you know, popping into the other world and being like, ah, shit, never going to see all of that again? You're going somewhere. You're going to be somewhere tomorrow. Is it somewhere you really want to be? Are you ready to be in that somewhere? That for me has been quite a sticky thought, really. That has kind of held me up, because it's like, I don't know much about it, and I don't know if it's better or worse than where I am now. So, you know, that's a bit of a head scrambly thought, but I do think it's kind of worth thinking about, and unless it really starts pushing you in the direction of spiritual psychosis, in which case forget about it. You know, tomorrow can take care of itself, kind of thing, you know. And for those of us who have had that almost kind of quintessential experience, whereby you've done something or taken something the night before, going, okay, I really hope this ends me, and then the next morning you just wake up and you're fine, bit groggy, but you're fine. That's always an interesting one, because sometimes, I think most of the time actually, when this happens and you wake up, I found my reaction has actually been relief. I've actually been like, oh, okay, shit, fuck, I did that last night, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? Glad that didn't work out. But I will say, you know things are getting bad when your first reaction, you wake up and you immediately remember, shit, why am I still here? I shouldn't still be here. And you're actually really pissed off and really disappointed about it like that. That is not such a good sign. But things can still improve. It is tough being, if you're someone else who's also autistic, and the statistics relating to the average life expectancy, relating to the unaliving statistics, you know all of that stuff. It can be quite a heavy weight because it can almost feel like an inevitability. But I would say, even if you feel that way, and even if, as I honestly kind of do, I do kind of feel like it's probably an inevitability. I'm probably just pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back, but one day I'm going to fall over it, Even so, it's worth doing, I think. Even so, I think pushing it back is worth doing, because, little things happen, particularly if you're younger. So much stuff changes and shifts in life. I think it'd be a damn shame to write it off. You particularly have so many possibilities. I met a lovely, lovely, lovely older couple recently who they met, I think, in their mid-70s. They met and they got married, and now I think one of them turned 90, I think literally 2 days ago, and they're living their best life, and that's just wild. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner. It could be something good. Keep doing the little things in the moment that keep you alive. Watch that video about the day after I died and get angry at whoever has dropped the ball regarding you being in this state and you not being helped out of this state. Who's dropped the ball? Get angry, write to them, and keep appreciating the little things in your life, however little they are. Even if it's just getting up kind of earlier one morning and everything's smelling really, really nice outside and they're being dew on the grass and it smells lovely and all of that. Whatever the little things are, maybe start keeping a journal of all the little things that made you happy. But anyway, this is a huge waffle now, so I guess I am going to shut up and fuck away. But yes, best of luck to you, and I hope you manage to stay on the planet. I'd say I hope you choose to stay on the planet, but I know it doesn't necessarily feel like a choice. It feels more like a mad scrabble, and yeah, so I hope you manage to stay on the planet, is how I would phrase it. And best of luck to you. So big love. See you soon. Bye bye.